Samuel Chukwueze is I would say, the husband of South Africa. He's the, he's the husband of South Africa. Just wait for Samuel Chukwueze to actually click.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are watching or listening to us from. This is the Naija FC Podcast, where, as always, we bring you the hottest, the latest, unfiltered thoughts on everything that is happening around Nigerian football. As always, I'm your host, AyoT, and I have with me my reliable co-host.
Like,
Yes, it is still AFCON o'clock, and now we are at the semi-final stage. And today we have a fantastic episode coming up for you. We are going to be previewing the semi-final match between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Bafana of South Africa. Both teams have, come through some obstacles during this tournament and have fought their way to this stage. It is the battle of Afrobeat versus Amapiano. Some people say it is the battle for Nigeria to claim Amapiano as our own, but nevertheless, it's going to be an interesting one. Very quickly, we're going to talk about, how the teams got to this stage of the tournament. So I'll start for Nigeria. Of course, we were placed in Group A in the group stage, where we started with a 1-1 draw against Equatorial Guinea. After that 1-1 draw, a lot of fans, a lot of people were disappointed, were doubtful. People were asking that, can these Super Eagles actually win this tournament, or are they just here to just participate and go home? And then we played our second match against Ivory Coast. Coach Jose Peseiro decided to make a switch and change to a 3-4-3 formation. And then we ran out 1-0 winners over the host nation Ivory Coast in our second group stage game. In the final match of the group stage, we played against Guinea-Bissau, a familiar face for us in recent years. And playing in our 3-4-3 formation, we also, narrowly won 1-0 in that game. Again, after the group stage, the Super Eagles finished second. And a lot of people started to make those comments again. Are these boys actually here to win? Some people said it was disappointing that we can finish second behind Equatorial Guinea. Even though we were through, a lot of fans were still disappointed. But, as things will have it, the draws for the round of 16 came out and we were drawn up against Cameroon, our neighbors. It was a very intense battle, our round of 16 match against Cameroon, and we ran out 2-0 winners. A fantastic display, finished off with 2 Ademola Lookman goals, sent us through to the quarterfinal of the tournament, where we were drawn up against Angola. Another intense battle. A few nervy moments, that, would have given some people high blood pressure, but ultimately the Eagles soared over the Antelopes. And another Ademola Lookman strike earned us a 1-0 victory to set up this semi-final clash. On the other hand, we have South Africa, who were in Group E in the group stage. They started their tournament with a 2-0 defeat against Mali. Not the best start for them, but in their second match, they picked things up and they soundly thrashed Namibia. A 4-0 win over Namibia. Going into their third game, it was nervy for them, but they ended up playing a goalless draw against Tunisia. With 1 win and 1 draw, 4 points. Thankfully, that was enough for them to qualify from their group and set up a round of 16 clash against the highest ranked African side by FIFA. We're talking about the Atlas Lions of Morocco. In a very intense round of 16 battle against Morocco. 2 goals, including a stunning 95th minute free kick by Mokena, sent South Africa through to the quarterfinal. A win that a lot of people did not expect, but they were able to battle and get. They faced Cape Verde in the quarterfinal. It was another intense battle. Cape Verde probably had the better of them for most of the match, but unfortunately, Cape Verde just couldn't get the ball past their goalkeeper, Ronan Williams. Williams kept South Africa in the game. South Africa also had some moments of their own, but ultimately, after 120 minutes, it was a goalless draw. We head into penalties, and cometh the moment, cometh the man. Goalkeeper Ronan Williams goes on to save 4 penalties in the shootouts to send South Africa through to the semi-final of the AFCON 2023, where they will now be matched up against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. A fantastic tournament so far, getting to the semi-finals for both nations. They have to be proud of what they've achieved. But no team wants to get to the semi-finals and lose. Once you get to the semi-finals, you want to go all the way to the trophy. Nobody wants to reach semi-final and then they'll be happy to lose. Everybody wants to play in that final and possibly hoist the trophy. So it's going to be an intense battle. It's going to be a fantastic affair between both sides. And we'll, of course, be here to talk about it after it happens. But for now, let us enjoy a little bit about the history of this fixture that's coming up. So I'll turn it over to you, Smith Layi, our resident historian, football encyclopedia. What do you have to say about the history of this Nigeria and South Africa?
Nigeria against South Africa is like a love story. When they came, when they got registered by FIFA and they came to international football in the early 90s. So it was like, against Nigeria. That was our golden years. So they came to Lagos, they chopped 4-0. So it wasn't as if the team that played in Lagos was a bad team, but they just met us. Like, that was our golden years. So, and what the funny thing is that when we won the AFCON in 94, and we had to actually go and defend it back then in 96, being hosted by South Africa. But, because of political issue, we couldn't, travel to South Africa. So it was, they hosted and they won. A lot of Nigerians believed then that to say Nigeria went to South Africa, we would have won our third trophy there because we had the best players there with us. And it was evident when we won the Olympic gold that same year with the same set of players that have been at the Olympics. So, between 1990 and 2000, Nigeria had arguably the best team in Africa. So the only team that came close to Nigerian achievement was actually South Africa. They won the AFCON in 96. They played in the final in 98, losing to Egypt, and they also played in the semi-final, losing to Nigeria. So the first time we met South Africa in an AFCON was against, was in Lagos. That was in a packed, Surulere Stadium. We beat them 2-0. Both goals by Sijana Bangida in that game. So, there's always there's always this rivalry between the two nations anytime there's football. We lost our first game against them in the friendly game. That was, they call it the Mandela Cup. Even there's a Mandela Cup. We play them nearly every year. They call it the Mandela Challenge Cup, when teams go to South Africa to celebrate the late Madiba's birthday. So it used to be, we used to play them, but we lost when we came with our team B. So they were so happy then that they got back at Nigeria. But it was a friendly. But when we're going to lose our first game, that was in Uyo, we lost to them when we actually played the AFCON qualifier. We lost by 2-0 against Genetrod-led team then. So, we only lost 2 games against them. But there's the history dates back to 92, but there's this dilly-dally between the two teams. So the battles goes from social media to culture to everything. So, I expect a very good game, but the history is not that deep. But, we've had our battle in South Africa, and very interesting battle. I'm expecting a good one too this time around. Fantastic, clashes over the years. So the last one was in Egypt, and we actually we won that game by 2-1. Last minute goal by William Ekong. So I hope that in total we have 7 wins. I hope that we can actually continue with that this year again.
No, very well said. And very quickly, I'll take us through some of the head-to-head between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Bafana of South Africa. Like Midai said, our last game came about in AFCON 2019, where we ended up 2-1 victors, in that game, thanks to a William Ekong 89th minutes winner. That was in the quarterfinal of the 2019 AFCON. Of course, leading up to the 2019 AFCON, we had South Africa in our qualification group, and like Smith Layi mentioned as well, they defeated us 2-0 in Uyo, and then we played a 1-1 draw when we went for the return leg in South Africa. We also had faced them in an international friendly in 2015, another 1-1 draw there. And before that, we played them in the qualification stages for the AFCON in 2015. And unfortunately, they were one of the teams that stopped us from going to that AFCON. We played a goalless draw in South Africa. And then when they came to Nigeria, we played a 2-2 draw over there. So we couldn't defeat them in 2014, heading towards the 2015 AFCON. And then, of course, in a friendly that we played in 2013, we ended up 2-0 winners over South Africa. So far, as far as the head-to-head is concerned, we have the edge over them overall. But it's never been an easy game between Nigeria and South Africa. It's always been intense battles. It's always been back and forth affairs. Either a late winner or a late, equalizer or something, or just a tough game overall. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this one comes about when we face them in the semi-final of AFCON 2023. The South African players, of course, want to do a job for their team. They want to win this tournament, whereas the Nigerians, even before the tournament started, all the talk has been about winning this trophy again since 2013 that we haven't seen the Nigerian team lift this trophy. Smith Layi, on the South African side, for people that might not be aware, who are some of the players that you think we would have to watch out for and pay attention to in this game?
For me, I think Petitao. Despite that, this tournament is like, he's not been performing that well in this tournament, but I think it's a player we have to look out for. Anytime Petitao plays against Nigeria, you know that he's always pumped up for it. He's got a very good friend around Nigeria. I think his friend Emmanuel Dennis, very close friend in Club Brugge when he was there. So he's a player that's always motivated when he actually want to play against Nigeria. And they also have Mokoena. He plays for Saunders of South Africa. Dead ball situations. In fact, if they want to play right corner kick, left corner kick, then they play. They don't have takers for. So he will go crossfit to go and take it. And when they have free kick anywhere on the pitch, you will see Mokoena trying to actually take it because they trust him so much. And the game today against Cape Verde, when you take that the what's it called, the free kick, when they were lying down, I think Tawai was telling him that Vihan that he will go to this right. Thank God, say the guy did not go and stay in that place. It would have been easy passing the ball to the net. So they tell you they are scared of him because of what he did to Bono in the second round. So we have to look out for, and also Williams, the goalkeeper. I know he's going to have his hands full, on that day, but this guy is a fantastic goalkeeper, and I tip him to be the overall best goalkeeper in this AFCON.
Amazing. I'll just add one name to that list, and that would be Modiba, Aubrey Modiba, the left back. Also playing for Mamelodi Sundowns in the PSL. I think Modiba has been a very quality player for them throughout this tournament. He's played in all their matches, and he's been quite good, making clearances in every game. Very good at tackling. He's averaging 2.8 tackles in every game so far this AFCON. Also making a lot of ball recoveries for them. So when they lose possession, is the one that tries to help them get the ball back. And then, of course, has just been a very good player. 72 touches per game is what he's averaging. So he's one of their more involved players in most of the things that they do. He's played 96 minutes plus, 90 minutes plus in every match that they've played so far this tournament, and I expect him to be there again against Nigeria. He's very good at timing his tackles throughout this tournament. Even though he's playing as a left back, he's only got one yellow card, and that was against Morocco. So I just think he's somebody that we should watch out for. Whoever is playing on that flank, either it be Simon or Lukman, I think, or Chukwueze, they might have a battle ahead of them. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be able to win that battle. And then, of course, Smith Layi already spoke about Mokoena, dead ball specialist, would be able to do a good job for them if given the opportunity. So we have to be just careful about how we concede free kicks. I know Nigerian fans remember Algeria, now free kick where we go concede for last minute. That's what sent us out of the tournament. So we have to be careful not to give away any free kicks in dangerous positions. Of course, it's easier said than done, but it's something that the players will just have to be aware of. Our defending from corner kicks also will need to be on point because the guy can deliver a quality cross. When you have a dead ball specialist in your team, it just gives you a slight advantage because a goal can come from anywhere. It's like, James Ward-Prowse, for example. That's what he has built his whole Premier League career on. that he can take free kick, he can take corner kick, he can take penalty. That's his whole career in front of him. And dead ball specialists can be very dangerous and very clinical when the time comes. And then, of course, Percy Tau. I think he's probably the name that is most familiar to Nigerian fans. One of the best African players for a long time. Like Smith Layi said, when he's playing against Nigeria, he has that extra ginger in him. This tournament hasn't been his best tournament so far, but it doesn't mean that when it comes to a game against Nigeria, Percy Tau cannot turn up. And of course, we have to be careful not to give away any penalties because that's also a threat that they can have. And then it's going to be a battle of two quality goalkeepers. Stanley Nwabali in goal for Nigeria and Ronwen Williams for South Africa. Hopefully, Nwabali is a better goalkeeper on the day. Hopefully, we are just able to disregard Williams. But if you look at Williams' performances throughout this AFCON, he's been good in every game. He's kept 4 clean sheets now. Other than the game against Mali, their first game that they lost 2-0, he hasn't conceded in any other game. So the same way we've been looking at Super Eagles, impressive defense, not conceding goals. South Africa as well, they've also not been conceding goals. They have 4 clean sheets. So it's going to be a very intense battle. On the Nigerian side, of course, South Africa will be aware of the quality that we have. Victor Osimhen, they cannot for any reason forget about Victor Osimhen because he's going to be there putting pressure on the defenders every moment of the game. And then if he gets his opportunity, we know the quality that he has. Just like I said about Percy Tau, this AFCON has probably not been Osimhen's AFCON in terms of goal scoring. But it does not mean that if he gets a chance, he's not going to take it. So he's someone that they would have to be very aware and very careful of. And if he's not scoring the goal, like we saw for the goal against Cameroon, the first one, he can easily set up his teammates, Ademola Lookman, to help them get a goal. Like we saw for the goal against Angola, Victor Osimhen can make quality runs that drag defenders out of position and create spaces for players like Lookman or maybe even Simon to run into and get a goal of their own. So he's still contributing a lot, even though he's not getting his own name on the score sheet. Of course, I'm sure after the job that he has done so far in this tournament, Ademola Lookman is somebody that their coach will also point out to them. Ademola Lookman is a quality player, knows how to hold possession, knows how to win fouls, knows how to make quality runs behind the striker, get into the box. Of course, he's a good finisher. He can score goals. He's Nigeria's highest goal scorer in this tournament. And Lookman is somebody that they should watch out for. William Troost-Ekong, solid in defense. I'm sure their coach would also tell them that if you are going to win this game, you have to do better than William Troost-Ekong because Ekong so far has been able to put all the strikers that he has faced inside his back pocket. And I'm sure that South Africa would want to be different. Makgopa, forgive me for the pronunciation of his name, but evidence, their striker playing for Orlando Pirates, has 1 goal and 1 assist in this tournament. He'll be going up against Troost-Ekong and as well as Semi Ajayi and Calvin Bassey, to be fair. But it's obviously Ekong is a player that you have to watch out for. And then I will say, finally, Stanley Nwabali in goal for Nigeria. They would have to obviously know that Nwabali is a quality goalkeeper. He's vying for goalkeeper of the tournament alongside the South African goalie, and they are going to have to be at their quality best if they want to score a goal against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But yes, Smith Layi, is there anybody on the Nigerian side, on the South African side, that you think can be the difference maker in this match?
So just before I go to the Nigerian side, I want to just to make one observation about the South African team. Okay. So you said it earlier that they did not actually concede the goal since the game against Mali in the first game, and this is the 4th straight clean sheet now for Williams. So, but this thing just doesn't just happen. There are 2 central. The people that actually play in their central defense, they play for the same club. They train, they see themselves every day. Mvala and actually Lokana. They stay together, they live together, they are trained together every day. The chemistry is already there. That was the reason why they could keep out Morocco and Tunisia. So, and kudos to the South African Football Federation. They realized that it's going very hard for them to compete in Africa by exporting players because they know that that is the West African game. No South African team can say that they want to export players to Europe. The raw talent is in West Africa, and the Europeans will always go for West African players. So instead of doing that, they went for the Egyptian template, Tunisian Egyptian template of developing homegrown players to play for the national team. So majority of the players in this team play for Pirates and actually Sundowns. In fact, about 6 or 7 of their starting lineup played for Mamelodi Sundowns. The goalkeeper, the guys in front of him, the left back, they all play for Sundowns. So they train together every day. They won the CAF Football League together. They have been doing well in the CAF continents together. So this success is not just overnight. And even Pesitao, that plays for Halali, he was a former Sundowns player. So he's playing with his teammates, his former teammates. So kudos to the South African Football Federation for doing this. This is the Egyptian template. They are trying to take it to South Africa now. And well done to them for actually doing well. If not because they are facing Nigeria, I would have wanted them to be the finals of this AFCON.
Very, very well said. And thank God that they're facing Nigeria so that they're not going to reach the final. But yeah, okay. On the Nigerian side, what do you think can be a surprise to South Africa? What do you think we can do to take advantage of this good South African side?
When you are going to a war, you normally have your joker. And when you are going to a particular war, some people know the territory. I think we have a silent joker in our side that we watch out for. That's Samuel Chukwueze. Samuel Chukwueze is the husband of South Africa. He's the husband of South Africa. Just wait for Samuel Chukwueze to actually click in this game. I think that he might probably have a game time against South Africa. He ran them ragged 2019. And I think he's a more improved player now compared to 2019. He's now playing for AC Milan. So I think even a lot of Nigerian fans fell in love with Samuel Chukwueze because of that game. I remember his best friend, Odio Konko, when they were playing preseason game. So Villarreal against Bologna. No, not Odio Konko. Kingsley Michael. He was playing for Bologna, and that other one was playing for Villarreal. So he was saying that you can't shine here. This is not South Africa. So he was saying it. It was like a banter. But I was just like, a lot of people knew that Chukwueze actually had a very good game there. So I think if he gets to play, South Africa should watch out for Chukwueze. Let's go give Modiba a very tough time. And who else again to watch out for? My best Nigerian player of the tournament, Lukman, Ademar Lukman. The cleverness of Lukman, the intelligence of Lukman, and the aggressiveness of Osimhen is the one that is keeping us going in this tournament. And the resurgence was Simon. So those three, I will not call them musketeers now in our front line, but I'll just say that those three guys, they're going to watch out for South Africa water for them. I think especially Lukman.
Well said. Well said. And of course, it's not going to be an easy game. South Africa have in this tournament, typically they've set up in their 4-2-3-1 formation. So I expect them to set up like that against Nigeria. I expect Williams to be in goal. Like we mentioned, Modiba, Mvala, Kekana are most likely going to start together. They have that chemistry already. And then on the right-hand side, probably going to be Kuliso Mudau, also a player for Sundowns. So their entire back five, could be the same players that play week in, week out at club level. In midfield, like we mentioned earlier, they have Mokena, also of Sundowns, who I think is going to start. Beside him is Sitole, who plays for Tondela. He doesn't play for Sundowns, but he plays for Tondela in Portugal. And then, of course, ahead of them, they have Pesitao on the left, playing for Alali FC. They have Morena on the right, potentially also a player for Sundowns. And then I think Zwane is the one that played in that game against Cape Verde. So he might get the starts or he might not get the starts against Nigeria. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But Zwane has, been part of their team in all their games so far. Of course, he scored 2 goals in that game against Namibia. So he also has quality and assisted 1 goal against Morocco. So he has quality from that center attacking midfield position. And then up front, like I mentioned earlier, they have the striker of Orlando Pirates, Evidence Makoba, who plays, who has 1 goal and 1 assist so far in this tournament. I would largely expect them to set up like that. Of course, the coach always has the ability to make 1 or 2 changes to the squad. They have quality players on their bench as well. Unfortunately for them, the young boy Tapelo Maseko pulled his hamstring today against Cape Verde. So
Yeah.
he might not be available for the game against Nigeria. I would be surprised if he's available for the game against Nigeria. But yes, on the Super Eagles side, like, of course,
Yeah.
at this point, we are expecting a 3-4-3 formation. We don't
Yeah.
expect the coach to make any changes. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think he's going to stick with the same lineup again from the games against Cameroon and against Angola? Or are you expecting to see him make any changes?
No. No. Don't. You can't change a winning team.
Mm.
Don't change it. I know that Coach Ugo Bruce will be working tirelessly for that to see how it can actually work. Play Nigeria based on that formation. I don't think Jose Pacero will do it. I think that it might give them like different roles because of the opposition want to take on. But I don't think it's going to actually work to change it. I think it's going to be a 3-4-3 formation.
Mm. And I mean, if Coach Jose Pesero decides, like Smith said, not to change a winning team, then we would expect the lineup to be Stanley Nwabali in goal. We would expect to see 3 centre backs, Calvin Bassey on the left, William Trustekong in the middle, and Shemi Ajayi on the right. Wing backs would expect to see Zedu Sanusi on the left and Olayeno on the right. In midfield, Frank Onyeka and Alex Iwobi, and then in attack, Ademola Lukman, Moses Simon, and then up front, Victor Osimhen. Honestly, me too. I think he's not going to make any changes. I think he's going to go with the same team. The only potential is that depending on how the game is going, like Smith Layi mentioned, he might bring on the boy who knows how to play against South Africa. He might bring on Chukwueze in the game, depending on how it's going. But if we manage to be leading 1-0, he's not going to make that change. If we're leading 1-0, he's not going to make that change. He is going to wait for the 70th minute or the 75th minute. Then he can maybe take off Zedu Sanusi, bring on Kenneth Omero,
Maybe.
and he will take off Osimhen in like 85th minute and bring on Paul Onwachu. So it all depends on how the game is going. Again, I don't want to see this, but it would be interesting also to see how the Super Eagles can react potentially to going a goal down. I pray it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it will be a test for the players and it would be a test for our coach, Jose Pesero. Can he actually coach a team if we happen to be losing against South Africa in the semifinal? We have to wait and see. So like anything that you want to add on the lineups of each team before we move on?
So I just think that one thing what we have to know is this: if any of the South African players get injured or things like that, we should not focus on that. All of them have similar abilities. What is keeping South Africa down is just teamwork. So I just think Nigeria should play because this game is like a 9-pointer. And I'm going to say the reason why. One, we are facing them for one of the most quality prizes in African football, winning the AFCON. We are going to be facing them in a few months' time in Uyo in the World Cup qualifiers. That's also what make or break. So we're also going to face them in the return leg too in Durban. So this game, there's love, is pregnant with meaning. I just hope that what's it called? We can be able to navigate ourselves in this first order. Honestly.
Well said. Okay, just to round off now, I'm going to talk about the recent form of both teams. So we have Nigeria coming into this game, on a 4-game winning streak. Of course, we've won every game since our first game that we drew against Equatorial Guinea. On the other side, we have South Africa, who just drew a game in regulation time against Cape Verde, one, of course, on penalties. So in their past 4 matches, they have 2 outright wins and then 2 draws in regulation time, and then 1 win on penalty shootouts, which was also a draw, goalless draw. Nigeria, of course, 5 games without a defeat. South Africa, 4 games without a defeat. Both teams have quality defenses and are coming into this game having not considered a goal in their last 4 matches. For Nigeria, 8 of our last 8 matches have seen less than 3 goals in the game. So this has the potential to be another game, a 1-0, a 2-0, or maybe, God forbid, a 1-1. Who knows? On South Africa's side, 6 of their last 7 matches have had less than 3 goals. So even South Africa, if you exclude their thrashing of Namibia, they don't really score that many goals in games. They don't really concede many goals in games. Nigeria have been the first team to score in 4 of our last 5 matches, with the exception of the game against Equatorial Guinea. And yeah, our games against South Africa, in 4 of our last 5 matches against South Africa, both teams have scored in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So based on the history, it's a game that both teams could score. So if you go with the stats, if you go with the history, both teams score less than 3 goals. That means 1-1. If you go with the history, that means 1-1. But of course, we remember the last time we faced them in 2019, it was 1-1 until William Troost-Ekong, the skipper, stepped up. And hopefully William Troost-Ekong and the rest of the team can step up again this time. Before we move on to our predictions, let me also just tell you guys what the bookies are saying in case you would like to place a bet on this game. The Super Eagles are overwhelming favorites according to the bookies to win this match. Super Eagles have odds of 1.66 to win this game, whereas the odds for South Africa to win are 5.25. So the bookies are expecting Nigeria to win this match. Just like I said, the bookies don't expect there to be many goals in the game. For under 2.5 goals is 1.47. Over 2.5 goals is 2.6 odds. And then, yeah, Smith Layi.
Yeah.
It's time for us to predict.
Yeah.
Nigeria versus South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think it's going to be a tight affair. Yeah. It's going to be a keenly contested battle. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 2 teams that have played well, 2 teams that have really used their teamwork to come this far in this tournament, 2 teams that don't like to concede goals.
Yeah.
But one team is going to have to win. And for me, I believe that team is going to be the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I think at the end of the day, we are going to edge it out. I see us scoring 1 goal in the first half and another goal in the second half. Nigeria to win 2-0. That's my prediction. How about you, Smith Layi? What do you think?
So, South Africa, I picked you to be my surprise package in this AFCON. And when I was pressed further by my hosts, he said, where would they finish? I said, they will finish in the semifinals. And I stand with what I said previously, that this will be the end of the road for South Africa, but they will take 3rd place. So Nigeria to win by 3 goals to nothing. I don't
3
like
goals
to
to
nothing. For nothing. I just think it's going to be, I think there's a 3-0 win for Nigeria this AFCON.
I like how you are expecting plenty goals. Hopefully it can happen. But yeah, we both expect the Super Eagles to win.
Which was meant to score.
Amen. We're missing that Osimhen goal, so hopefully he can get it. And if you want to bet 2-0, it's 6.5 odds for the Super Eagles to win 2-0. And then if you want to bet on Smith Layi's score of 3-0, it is 12 odds for Nigeria to win 3-0. So yeah.
Nearly double.
Nearly double. Because both teams don't really have many goals like that in their matches. But who knows? The semi-final is a big stage. Again, big stages are when big players show themselves, are when big players are made. If Osimhen does not score in the semi-final, I will score in the final. Osimhen has to play a part, a serious part, not just hard work. He has to play a serious part amongst the goals, I think, if Nigeria are going to win this tournament. And I really hope that Osimhen can get a goal in this game against South Africa. So Smith Layi, what are your final thoughts before we run off this episode? Final thoughts.
So I still want to appreciate our listeners for actually always waiting for us to draw the preview, after getting messages that when will the preview be out? Africa just finished now, so why we just but thank you for the love. If you don't like us like this, you won't be asking for the preview all the time. I want to appreciate everyone, and I believe that those that supported us too from the start about Nigeria winning the AFCON, we are still on the same journey. No retreat, no surrender. These Eagles, they will fly.
Amazing. I wouldn't add anything to that. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and of course, let us know your own final score prediction for the game. Up Super Eagles. As always, I'm your host, AyoT, and I have with me my wonderful co-host,
Smith Layi. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.